Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are and what time you're watching this video. It's another not walking, and talking video with your boy, Celine Driver, me. Doing my second video of what did we learn about the Florida Gators after the end of week 2 of the 2022 football season. Well, the first thing we learned is ranking them number 12 after week 1 when they started the season unranked was stupid, undeserved. They rose up too high too fast, and I didn't agree with it. I thought they probably should break into the top 25, maybe in the 20 spot, 20, maybe 18 or 17. After beating the number 17, the number 7 team at home, that would be Utah. And looking very good doing it, too. I mean, they look like a well-coached, high-performance team that could score, that could move the ball, that could play some defense. I did see the weakness of not pressuring the quarterback and a few other things. You can look back at my week 1 video of what did we learn about the Florida Gators, if you want to see that video and see what I thought there. But what a difference a week makes. Week 2 saw the Kentucky Wildcats roll into Gainesville for an evening shootout with my Florida Gators. And Florida shit the bed. There's no other way around it, guys. Gals, there's no other words for it. They shit the bed. They lost 26-16. They were a 6-point favorite going into the game, so Kentucky beat the spread. So congratulations to the Kentucky Wildcats. They came in. They were well coached. They executed for the most part pretty well, except on special teams. And the Florida Gators did not. Now, I have my copious notes and a few other notes that I jotted down of things that I saw about the game that I'll go over with you. First of all, by quarter, at the end of the first quarter, barn burner it was, the Florida Gators were winning 3-0. Sounds like a hockey score. Good number of points were scored in the second second quarter. The Gators went into the half leading 16-13. Unfortunately, the third quarter, the wheels came off and Kentucky scored 10 points. The Gators scored no points. And Kentucky was up 23-16. In the fourth quarter, Kentucky only managed a field goal, but did win the game 26-16. This was the first time that Kentucky had won back-to-back games against the Gators since 76-77. It was also the first time the Gators were shut out in the second half of a game since 2017 against Michigan. The Gators did not score in the second half at all. I don't really think they even came close. Now, on the flip side of that, Kentucky only scored 6 points on offense, quote-unquote offense, 2 field goals. Their lone touchdown in the second half was a pick 6, a horrendously thrown ball by one Anthony AR-15 Richardson, who should be re-nicknamed Anthony P. Shooter Richardson after this game. He was awful. I mean, as good as he was in game 1 is as bad as he was in game 2. As a matter of fact, I have his stats right here. Anthony Richardson rushing was 6 rushes for a whopping grand total of 4 yards. 4 yards. Passing, he wasn't a hell of a lot better. 14 out of 35, 143 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, including that pick 6, which broke the back of the Gators in this game. Overall team effort, anemic. 143 yards passing, 136 yards rushing. Worthless. Absolutely atrocious. Embarrassing. However, there were some positives. The defense actually played pretty well. Like I said, they didn't allow a touchdown, an offensive touchdown by Kentucky, since the second quarter. So they played the entire half, the second half, not allowing Kentucky to score an offensive touchdown. Kentucky did manage to move the ball pretty well, but they did not score touchdowns. They only got 2 field goals. They did have 3 sacks in the game. That's an upgrade from the first game where they had 0 sacks and almost no pressure on the quarterback. So the defense did step up their game, and they did put pressure on the Kentucky quarterback, and they did sack him 3 times. Not enough, but an improvement. AR-15. He really, really needs to work on down-the-field throws. Almost every down-the-field throw that he made was off-target and wild. Anything over 15 yards. It looks like he never threw a pass before in his life. He's also, in this game, exhibited some of the same poor decision-making that he exhibited in 2021. He's really got to work on that. I mean, he literally threw that pick 6 to the Kentucky receiver. He stared down the Gator receiver. The Kentucky defender had all day to have lunch, have dessert, have a cup of coffee, and pick the pass off and stroll into the end zone. The offensive line for the Gators is good, but they need to improve. I mean, if the Gators are going to be a run-first football team, and right now it looks like their offense is so vanilla that they are going to be a run-first football team, they need to do a hell of a lot better job run blocking. So, yeah, that offensive line played pretty good, but they're going to have to get a hell of a lot better and a hell of a lot more cohesive real quick, because this was the start of their SEC season, and it was Kentucky, a team they could have beaten and maybe should have, but they didn't. And their next SEC opponent is Tennessee, and Tennessee looks like they're on fire. And then from there, it doesn't get any easier. Although it does look like they might be able to compete against LSU and Texas A&M. Hate your guts, Jimbo Fisher. I'm so glad you lost that game. On national TV, you were embarrassed by App State. I laughed my full head off. Trevor Etienne, freshman. But he looks very promising. He's got some promise. You get him in the open field, and he's got speed and he's got power. And he looks like a damn fine running back. Still a freshman, though. If his offensive line would block for him better and he could add a couple of left-right moves, a little shake and bake, Trevor Etienne might make you forget that he has a big brother. What's his name? I forgot. He played for some lame-ass school out of the ACC. Doesn't matter who. A lot of stupid penalties by the Gators. Got to clean it up. Gators did not play a lot of run defense in the third quarter. That was the quarter that kind of broke the Gators' back. So the defense is better than it was, in my opinion, after 2 games. The defense is better now than it was in all of 2019, 20, 21. But they need to work harder and improve quicker and do a hell of a lot more with very limited resources because there's not a lot of depth below the starting lineup. But still much better than they were under Lard-ass Grantham. Fourth quarter for Florida looked like a total shutdown. Both sides of the ball looked like they couldn't do anything against Kentucky. Kentucky knew what was coming on offense. They stacked the box and they shut down the run. And then AR-15 threw the ball like he had never thrown the ball since Pee-wee days. It looks like he'd never thrown a football in his life. It really didn't look very polished. And that you can't have one good game and then one bad game. You can't keep bopping back and forth, Anthony. You need to be consistent. And if you're going to be consistently bad, let's find out now so you can take a seat and let the transfer from Ohio State come in. I am not saying, let me be crystal clear, I am not saying it's time to bench AR-15. This is his team. He needs to be given the time to develop. But if he's deep into the season and he's playing like he did in this game and not playing like he did in the Utah game, then it's time for Richardson to sit down. But let's see where we are in about a month and a half. And finally, Napier was flat out outcoached. He was outclassed by the Kentucky coaching staff. Stoops ate his lunch. There was a piss poor offensive game plan. He kept trying that damn bubble screen to number 3 all the time. Henderson. Kept trying that idiot bubble screen to Anderson 4, 5, 6, 7 times. It didn't work. After a couple of times of it not working, Napier, you've got to realize they know the play. Stop running it. You're not doing anyone any favors by continuing to run a play that Kentucky blows up every time you run it. Your receivers are not good blockers. It's obvious. So stop running that damn play. If it's not working after 2 or 3 times, lose the play. Napier was flat out coached. That's all there is to it. He was just completely outcoached and outclassed. So the Gators didn't have a good outing against Kentucky. It was a winnable game on paper. The Gators were at home. They rolled in a 6-point favorite. They certainly have the tools to play as good as Kentucky, or maybe better. And they just put a game plan out there that just didn't work. And they lost the game by 10 points. A few positives. The defense didn't allow an offensive touchdown in the second half. That's good. But then again, the defense didn't allow the Kentucky's offense an offensive touchdown. But then again, our offense didn't generate any points, even field goals, in the second half. And that's bad. Anthony Richardson didn't win the game with his legs. And he sure as hell didn't win the game with his arm. So, next week is USF at home. That's certainly a winnable game by Florida, although USF did win their game, I believe, against Howard. Who the hell is Howard? But they've got to use the USF game. Let's face it, USF is an inferior opponent. You've got to use the USF game as a developmental game. You've got to use the USF game as, let's try some new things and see what happens. Because we still can go back to the old game plan and probably win the game handily. But whatever you're going to do, you better do it quick, because coming up in 2 weeks is Tennessee on the road, and Tennessee in 2022 is not a joke. And it's certainly a very good possibility that you're going to lose that game unless you start improving very quickly. Anyway, that's how I see it. That's how I see this is what we learned about the Florida Gators in week 2 of the 2022 season. This is your boy, not Walkin, but Talkin, Celine Driver, and I am out.